What if everything you've ever seen, everything you've ever imagined about the Aztec Empire was wrong? Not historically, but visually. We've all grown up with the same grainy images, black and white drawings, stone gray ruins, and temples that looked like they were carved from shadow. But what if I told you the real Aztec world wasn't a gray, ashy old? What if it was so vibrant, so saturated with color, that it would make our modern cities look dull by comparison? Today, for the first time on this channel, we are using the power of artificial intelligence to tear down the gray veil of history. We are going to reconstruct the Aztec Empire in its true, brilliant color. And by the end of this video, you won't just see it differently, you'll feel it. Because the colors they wore, the colors they built, weren't just decoration. They were a language. Imagine standing in the heart of Tenochtitlan, the Aztec capital, on its most important day. The year is 1500, long before the arrival of the Spanish. You aren't looking at ruins. You are standing in the largest, cleanest, most impressive city in the Americas, and it is loud, loud with the squawk of tropical birds, the splash of canoes in the canals, and the hum of 250,000 voices. But the first thing that hits you isn't the sound, it's the color. The great temples, which we see today as bare stone, are coated in stucco and painted with such intensity that they seem to burn under the Mexican sun. Deep arterial reds, blues so bright they look like shards of the sky. This wasn't just paint. To the Aztecs, color was a living force. It was tealed sacred energy. When a priest walked up the steps of the Temple Mayor, he wasn't walking on gray rock, he was walking on a canvas. The blood-red walls weren't just warning you of sacrifice. They were telling you this was the house of Huitzilopochtli, the sun god himself. But let's stop for a second. How do we know this? Here's where the AI changes everything. We have codices, the few Aztec books that survived the Spanish conquest. They are hand-painted and filled with color. But historians for centuries have looked at these and thought, well, that's symbolic. We assumed real life was more muted, more practical. We were wrong. The AI we are using has analyzed thousands of pages of these codices, combined with archaeological data and Spanish chronicles that describe the dazzling whiteness of the cities. It realized that the Aztecs didn't just paint for art, they painted for permanence. Every surface was treated: limestone, stucco, volcanic rock. They sealed it with plant mucilage and mineral pigments that would last for decades. So, when the AI reconstructs a street scene, it doesn't just guess beige. It throws magenta into the equation. It paints the houses of the nobles with white lime, so bright you'd need sunglasses. This brings us to a problem, a mystery that has puzzled historians for 500 years. Why did the Spanish describe Tenochtitlan as dazzling white if it was covered in murals? That's the open loop I want you to hold in your mind. We'll get back to that contradiction in a moment, because the answer lies in what happened next. First, let's look at the people. Forget the Hollywood image of everyone wearing plain white loincloths and headdresses. In the real Aztec world, what you wore was your resume. And if you couldn't read that resume, you might make a fatal mistake. Imagine a marketplace like the one at tens of thousands of people, but it's organized, clean, and policed. A commoner walks by. His clothes are made of rough agave fiber brown, beige, practical. He can only wear cotton if his lord grants him permission, a rare honor. But then a Pochteca appears, a long-distance trader. He is wealthy, influential, and dangerous. He wears a flowing cotton cape, dyed a deep reddish brown with cochineal. Cochineal, this is the secret weapon of the Aztec palette. It's not a plant, it's an insect, a tiny bug that lives on cactus pads. Crush them, and they release a carmine red so intense, so brilliant, that centuries later it would become the second most valuable export from the Americas after silver. Europeans went crazy for it. They dyed their cardinals' hobbies with it, their royal standards. And here, in the market, that color screams status. Our AI reconstruction shows the texture, the shimmer of the cotton, the depth of the dye. It's not flat, it's alive. But then the real showstopper appears a nobleman, a Tecutli. He doesn't walk, he is carried in a litter, and he is wearing something that defies belief. Feathers, not just a few feathers glued to a headdress. His entire shield, his back device, his headdress are made of iridescent green quetzal feathers, bright blue cotinga feathers, flamingo pink spoonbill feathers. To the Aztec, this was the ultimate luxury. It was wealth so pure it flew. The AI shows us the sheen, the way the light plays across the plumage. It looks like the man is on fire. Catching a glimpse of that would be like you or me seeing someone walk down the street covered in emeralds and sapphires. It stops you in your tracks. But color wasn't just for the living, it was for the dead and for the gods. This brings us to the most controversial, most misunderstood aspect of Aztec life, the sacrifice. We see the gray stone of the temple platform, the dark figures, the obsidian knife, gloom and doom. Now, watch the AI reconstruct it. The priest emerges from the temple. He is not wearing black. He is wearing black, yes, but it's a specific black delilta color of obsidian, of smoke, of the north. His body is painted with stripes of bright red and yellow. The victim, often a captured warrior or a slave dressed as a deity, is painted in chalk white to stack the color of the west, of maize, of the past. It's a cosmic theater. As the sun rises, the white chalk on the victim's skin glows against the red background of the pyramid. The contrast is blinding. It's designed to be seen from miles away. The victim isn't just dying, they are transforming into a god. The color facilitates the magic. And here is where we close that open loop. Why did the Spanish describe the city as dazzling white? Because they arrived in 1519. They came from the east, from the Gulf Coast, marching through the pass between the volcanoes. And when they crested the mountain and looked down into the Valley of Mexico, they saw a city sitting in the middle of a sparkling blue lake. The lake reflected the sky. The white stucco of the millions of houses and temples caught the sun. From a distance, at dawn or dusk, the city would have shimmered like a mirage. It would have looked like a city carved from pearl and light. Up close, it was a riot of color. But the first impression, the one recorded by Bernal Diaz del Castillo, was the blinding whiteness of it all. It was so alien, so beautiful. They thought they were dreaming, but that dream didn't last. And this is where the story of color becomes a story of loss. When the Spanish and their allies besieged Tenochtitlan in 1521, the city didn't just fall. It was systematically erased. The temples were torn down. The stones of the pyramids were used to build the colonial cathedral. The palaces were burned. But the real tragedy, the color vanished. The sun, the rain, the humidity, they ate the pigments. Within a few decades, the reds and blues and yellows faded, peeled, and washed away. The city turned gray. The vibrant, screamingly loud Aztec world became the quiet, dusty ruin we see today. So now, when you look at a photo of the Templo Mayor excavation or the ruins of Tlatelolco, I want you to see something else. I want you to use your mind as an AI. Look at the gray stones and paint them red. Look at the empty platforms and put a warrior there, his shield flashing green and blue, his cape burning with Imagine the canals not as muddy ditches, but as thoroughfares filled with painted canoes carrying flowers and food and priests in black and yellow. The Aztec Empire wasn't a monument to death. It was a festival for the eyes. It was a civilization that believed the gods needed to be entertained. And they entertained them with the only thing worthy of the divine, pure, unapologetic beauty. And perhaps that is the greatest tragedy of the conquest. They didn't just destroy a city, they turned off the color of the world. If you enjoyed seeing history in a new light, then you need to watch our next video. We are taking this same AI technology and turning it toward the pyramids of Egypt. Were they really sand-colored, or were they once covered in polished white limestone and capped with gold? Click the video on screen now to find out, because the past is not dead, it's just waiting for someone to turn the lights back on.